This was all recorded live on my Twitch.com.
But I also start recording so I can edit this for my YouTube.
YouTube channel is.
Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. This is the game. This is the game we're playing.
Wow, shoot! That was an awesome transition.
眩しかった日のこと、そんな冬の日のこと。確かに幼い頃から丈夫な方じゃなかった。
But even so, I went to grade school normally. During summer vacation, I played until I was tanned very dark. June, soon after entering middle school, the day after we ordered swimsuits for swimming class that would start next month. That time was the first time I experienced being admitted into a hospital. Just a little before the first semester midterms, a day where the rain that started to fall felt awfully cold. In the midst of that pure white sky of the rainy season, in the beginning, everyone in the class came to visit me each day. And when I was discharged from the hospital, during the weekends, they would come to my house to play. But that was just the beginning. Fall came, winter left, hospitalized, discharge, outpatient care, and then starting again with hospitalization. Classmates who once were called friends, at some point became acquaintances, whoa, and then turned to strangers. With each turning of the seasons, it seemed that I was disappearing from their memories.
どうやらいい気がしないらしい。
Yeah, I'm reading it. I'm trying to get a good viewer experience. It looks like it makes them uncomfortable.
普通に生きている人にとって
Those who live
私の
normally,
存在ってのは
my very existence.
だから消されたようだった。
That's why I seem to have been erased.
普通に
Come on, bro. Come on.
白い梅雨空を
Bro, nothing's happened, bro.
誰とも言葉を交わす必要もなく過ごした。
Numerous seasons, white overcast skies, passed without even the need to exchange words with anyone.
私の英語の教科書は
My English
1年生の
textbook,
中間テスト以降
from my first year
まっ
midterms
さらな状
onward,
態だった。
remained brand new.
そこで
It was there
私の時間も止まったらしい。
that my time seems to have stopped. Eight years later, 2004 early summer. Protagonist. Summer flowing sweet. In the driver's license examination area, a large electronic bulletin board was installed. All at once, the lights came on, and like everyone else there, I searched for my own number. 237, 237. Scanning among the mostly lit light panel, I found my own examination number. Ka-thunk, ka-thunk. Because it was just past midday, the train car was quite empty. And in the empty car, I was on the way home from the examination center. In my left hand was the traffic regulation manual, and I just received. In my shirt pocket was the brand new license. With this, I'm also normally licensed, eh? I murmured somewhat seriously, but didn't feel any particular strong emotion. It's not like I wanted to drive cars, nor did I really have another purpose in mind. It was just people around me were going to the training center and had recommended that I at least get a driver's license. That night. Okay, bro, who's messaging me now? I gotta turn my phone on silent. When I report to my parents that I had gotten my license, "Is that so?" was the short reply. As an experiment, I tried saying that I wanted to borrow the car, and just as shortly, it came a "you can't." It wasn't like I wanted to drive the car, but the response were exactly as I imagined. They were those sorts of parents. The next day, upon waking up, my chest hurt, and I was taken to the hospital. Normally, I had little to do with things involving sickness. That was why waiting in the initial waiting room felt extremely boring. Finally, just when I thought the examination was over, this time I went to take x-rays and blood tests. Was made to go. On top of that, for a long time, I was made to wait in boredom. Without noticing, I had finished reading 3 books of Jump manga that was in the waiting room and was reaching for a 4th. And just like that, I was made to do the paperwork for being admitted into the hospital. The brand new driver's license that still lay in my shirt pocket. It looked like the time for its debut was ways off. Protagonist 2004 Autumn. Around when those very noisy cicadas had stopped crying, as usual, I was in the hospital. Of course, it was like I was always admitted in the hospital. I would be in and out. Last month, I had my first experience with surgery. After being discharged, I commuted 5 minutes for outpatient care by scooter. And even from then on, admitted, discharged, outpatient care, gradually moving to being admitted again. I don't know anything about PET or IRESSA, but I noticed, though, the comings and goings that a number of months have passed. In exchange with a decreasing appetite, the types and amounts of drugs increased. Even I could see with my own eyes that my strength was declining. My legs felt a bit thin, but that's not your imagination, the needle on the scale would tell me. And yet, I was looking at myself somehow objectively, as I was watching a stranger, like looking at a single scene on a television. The sudden thing that happened to my body, my head couldn't keep up with them. The feeling that was happening was real, didn't arise. And so, even though it was supposed to be my own body, I could only watch myself from afar with cold eyes. Winter. Around the Christmas trees were disappearing from the streets. Perhaps it's due to it being the end of the year, but I was allowed to return home. In the end, it seemed to be only temporary, but even then, I was a bit happy. In a mix of rain and sleet, I returned home for the first time in a while. For some reason, everyone in the family has gathered. Even though my parents normally didn't speak much, while being a bit stiff, they smiled at me. The little sister who I always argued with, who made my favorite ice cream stew and fried shrimp. We sat next to each other in the kotatsu. They peeled mandarins for me. They were extremely kind. That was the impression it left. During this time, I had just a bit of realization. Still left in the pocket, that brand new license. That license, without giving rise to any particular value, might expire. On. While having stiff, unnatural smiles directed at me, calmly, vaguely, rather simply, I thought of that as if thinking of someone else. Protagonist, January 2020 or 25, 2005, bro, 2025. The new year came, and I returned again to the hospital. For some reason, on that day, I didn't go to the 4th floor, but instead into a conference room. Was made to go. There, with my father and a doctor, I heard many things. Was made to listen. It was that thing called notification, probably. They had an extremely indirect way of speaking, but in the end, it seemed like I was going to die. I see. That was why I was only able to reply with that. I couldn't find other words. From when I entered until I left the room, that was all I said. Accepting my answer, the doctor moved the ballpoint pen on his hand. Most likely, it was the paperwork for the hospice. To the very end, he was very businesslike. My father was very much the same. It was such a simple thing. That was my honest impression. And then, between that day and the next, I changed from the 4th to the 7th floor, from a 6 patient to a single. And also, the 7th floor, it was a bit different from the other floors. For one thing, the floors were sparkling. The ceilings were much higher, much broader. Inside the rooms, it was extremely clean. The large windows seemed designed to let in lots of sunlight. However, the windows only opened a tiny bit. When I tried measuring, it was just slightly smaller than allowing your head pass through. The other thing was the color of the ID bracelet changed. Since the day I was admitted, a vinyl bracelet was always wrapped around my wrist. Upon it was my name and blood type. The color had changed from white to blue. High ceilings, white vinyl bracelet, windows that can only open 15 centimeters. The day I was transferred to the 7th floor, it was when the boring New Year's programs were still being broadcast. The time I met her for the first time was also at the very beginning of the year. Ow! Ow!
Bro! Is that the name of the game, bro? Oh my gosh.
The 7th floor, winter 2005. Across a hall facing the nurse's station was a lounge-like place. Left in the unpopulated place were a number of sofas, folding chairs, and a large television. On that 28-inch CRT, a meaningless New Year program was running. Watching that boring television was an equally boring expression, was some girl. She had a small build and wore pink pajamas. Her wrist had, just like I did, a white bracelet. Hair that was to her hips left an impression. Hey you, is that interesting? There wasn't with any particular deep meaning. Since there was no one around, I tried speaking to her profile. Not particularly. That was all that she replied with. She didn't even turn towards me, even though I had spoken to her. Perhaps she had absolutely no interest in me. She continued to gaze at the television with a bored look. If it's boring, you don't have to watch it. As I thought that, I also sat down in a folding chair. Sitting next to her, I gazed at the television. There was nothing else to do, nothing else I could do. Quietly, we continued to gaze at the television. On the screen were the usual New Year's programs, pathetic impersonations, and parlor tricks. I got the hiccups now! Occasionally ringing out, the host's stupidly high-pitched laugh in the pure white sunlit room, it dryly reverberated. Suddenly the girl spoke to me while still gazing at the television. No, they're gone now. You're on which time? Which time? What does that mean? Coming here, the 7th floor. Sorry, I don't understand the meaning of that question. It's my first time being on the 7th floor. It seemed that my inability to understand what she was saying, she had up and gone satisfied with the judgment. Well, there's no one else around, so it's my duty. Duty? There's that kind of rule. While nodding, she added that there was a rule for someone to teach people who first come here to the 7th floor. Even now, I understood nothing. And as if ignoring me, the girl slowly began speaking. Well, listen closely, alright? The girl's words came by ones and twos. They were slightly different compared to the doctor's speech that I had heard up until coming here. In that business-like speech from the doctors, it was said that this was a place to await the advancement of medicine. It was also called a place for healing the heart, the most likely, broadly speaking, that it was probably correct. However, from that the girl said that was a facade. The 7th floor was within the hospital, but was only the place that didn't give treatment. Simply a place to wait for the end of life. That's what the girl said. That's what I also felt, and had the same perception. I'm on my second time, you see. Second time? What's that? coming to this place, and the girl taught me. This place, called the 7th floor, to be here from the moment of admission, all the way until dying, first of all, apparently didn't happen. Even if being cured was impossible, if your health becomes better, then they would allow you to come to go home once. But after a while, and it turns bad, and once you come back. Among those coming and going, eventually die. The place where life ran out, it only differed between home and the 7th floor. Without fail, one would die in either of those. It seemed no one has ever escaped that. It was with that meaning that the girl had meant by saying it was her second time.
じゃあ一度しか言わないから
Well, I'll only say this once.
ここからはよく聞いて
So from here on, listen well. Still looking at the dull screen, the girl continues speaking even more. The subject being not about what time the lights would be out and the normal sorts of topics exchanged between admitted patients. She taught me about totally different things. On the 3rd time you're given a temporary discharge, prepare yourself. There's never a 4th. You won't be going home anymore. If there's a time that you want to run away, go not to Station A, but towards Station B. Don't eat anything, that is the shortest path. It'll end with the last burden to your family. It was only full of these sorts of topics that gives one pause. Most likely, it was something only for the people who came here. Through just those who participated in moving towards death, these were the things that have continued to be passed down. Was the duty you mentioned earlier this?
そうよ
Yeah, that's right.
いつかあなたも
Someday you would tell it to newcomers too. Okay. With those final words, the girl slowly stood up. Gently, her long hair swayed and brushed the tip of my nose.
じゃあ検温の時間だから
Well, it's time for taking temperature, so... And then, just like that, with her back facing me, she began walking towards the hall. I was left alone in that place, with the laughing voice from the screen and the white flowers decorating around the window. In the end, the girl never once looked in my direction. January 10th, 2005. From then, when a few days have passed, finally the New Year's program ended, and soon the 3rd terms of middle and high school would be starting. Today, in the lounge, once more, the figures of the girl and I were staring at the television. It's boring, isn't it?
そうね
The word came back in reply, but both of us were conversing while continuing to gaze at the screen. Hey, is this place always like this?
質問の意味がわからない
I don't understand the meaning of your question. No, I meant how there's no one around. Nurses, doctors, and add to that helpers. If you take them out, then aside from our own caregivers, I had never seen anyone else. I guess it's because it's the New Year's?
その理由を知りたいの
You want to know the reason for that? No. It's not like I meant that.
じゃあ言わない
Then I won't say. An exchange that wasn't even a conversation. We indifferently exchanged back and forth. A slight breeze came from the windows that couldn't open more than 15 centimeters. Occasionally, it would sway in the girl's hair, and in the same way, would sway in the white flowers decorating around the windows. The two of us, while watching the boring television, were only spending days passing time. Oh, pitter-patter. Oh, the two of you were in a place like this? Saying that while rushing up was an elderly nurse. From just glancing at the nurse station once in a while, this person seemed to be the chief of the 7th floor. Oh. I gotta slow down reading. I'm reading too fast. Oh god, a name! So, Satsumi-san, you don't have a fever?
大丈夫出てない
It's alright. I don't have one. Satsumi. Apparently this was the girl's name. This was the girl's name. You can't be roaming about outside without permission anymore, okay? Oh, is she embarrassed? Alright, everyone... Alright? Everyone gets worried.
いいよ。
That doesn't really matter. My, what kind of statement is that? Really, girls these days, there's just no helping them. And for a while more, the nurse continued scolding. So that the girl called Satsumi, let it go by with an indifferent expression. As if ignoring that somewhat noisy nurse, she continued watching the boring screen. Well, later, I'll be coming to take a blood sample. Alright? With those final words, once again the nurse returned back to the nurse's station. Hey you! I mean, I can call you Satsumi, right? Wrapped around the girl's wrist was the white vinyl bracelet. While looking at the blood type and name there, I asked. Something wrong? Satsumi?
どうして呼び捨てなの?
Why is there no honor, frick? What?
年下のくせに.
Even though you're the younger one. Hey, why is it that I'm the younger one?
別に。そう思っただけ.
No real reason. I just thought so. It wasn't that I was upset at the word younger. It was just, no matter how you looked at it, one would believe I was 5, 6 years older. That's why I took out that license that was in my chest pocket and showed it to her. How about it? Even though I look like this, I'm 20, you know?
やっぱり年下よ.
Like I thought, younger. With just a glance at the license, the girl gave only that reply. Hey, I don't really get it.
どうでもいいじゃない. 少し上なだけよ.
It doesn't matter, does it? It's only just a bit older. As always, the girl spoke softly with no expression. Those eyes, while looking at the boring television, I felt that they were also looking at some place far away. When the morning temperature taking end, I got onto the elevator, trying not to be seen by the nurses. Coming to the first floor, deliberately passing through the entrance for outpatients, and I just kept walking out of the hospital. The destination was the place I was taught before, not the nearby Station A, but the far Station B. It was just like I was planning on running away. Oh, it wasn't like I was planning on running away. The 7th floor, or home, there was no one who died outside of those two. Before, that's what I heard. It also seemed that the girl called Satsumi had also gone many times to Station B. That was why, for no real reason, I suddenly felt like wanting to go to see that place once. It's not like there are guards around. Even so, us residents of the 7th floor were different from other admitted patients. While also thinking about the but maybe, I continued walking on the street to the early morning station area. Glancing at hurrying commuter... What? And the people going to school, I slowly moved on a measured pace. After walking a while, taking about 25 minutes, I finally arrived before the station. In terms of bus stops, it was about four's distance. In a way, there's quite a bit of people around. That was the first impression upon seeing Station B. Because my clothes were pajamas, I stood out somewhat. However, I just felt like if just like this, I bought a train ticket, I felt could, without a single problem, go anywhere. Why am I having such a hard time reading now? Why was it not Station A, but the Station B that was recommended? I don't know. However, if one were planning to run away, I thought it was a simple thing. Certainly, the girl was also supposed to have come many times, but why was it that she still remained in the 7th floor? Even now I wonder. Early morning before the station, while watching the people hurrying by, suddenly, that thought occurred to me. That night, after the lights had been turned off, holding onto a book of manga, unable to sleep, I wandered around the ward alone. Normally, wandering around after lights out would get one scolded badly, but us residents of the 7th floor were given a relative amount of freedom. There was never dyslexia allegations against me. I'm just illiterate. And with the lights off, the usual lounge was pitch dark. I saw her figure. Hey, today you were looking outside. In the dark room, there was a response, but that face remained looking beyond the window. Immediately, I started talking about what happened during the day. That reminds me, this morning, I went all the way down to the station. Just like you told me, I went to see Station B. But the girl's response was no different from the usual. Because she's supposed to have gone before, I had thought that there might have been some kind of reaction, but thinking about that, as well as how she still remained here, did it mean that she really had no intention of running away?
私、もうすぐ帰れるの。
Suddenly the girl opened her mouth. Words as if she had seen clear through into my heart just
で
now.
も、次で3回目だから、もう会えないかもね。
That's right. Most likely, Most likely, when she said that she would be able to go home, she was talking about a temporary discharge. In this place called the 7th floor, being admitted more than 3 times, it apparently never happened. Especially, unlike the elderly, when considering the rate of progression of disease, it was even more so for younger patients like us. With that kind of meaning came the words, "We won't meet again."
ね。あなたはどちら、
Oh. Choose what?
どっちで死ぬつもりってこと？
Which one you plan on dying at? Suddenly, hearing the word death, my words caught for just a moment. Well, I haven't thought about it yet.
そう。まだ1回目だもんね。
The girl spoke in a lonely murmur. Of course, I knew I could be here forever. Like everyone else, going in and out of the hospital, slowly weakening until someday, in the end, either this 7th floor surrounded by thin smiles, it would come to a choice between those two probably. Or surrounded by thin smiles.
私は
I don't want home,
だけど
but I don't want here either. Then what will you do?
別にどうもしない。自力で歩けるうちにどこかに行くだけ。
Somewhere, even though it was obvious that if one wanted to run away, one could, the school still remained on the 7th floor. When I thought about that, do you have some other place to go to?
あなた、
You
私を引き止めたいの？
want to pull me back.
それとも一緒についてきたいの？
No, I didn't mean it like that.
じゃあ聞かないで。
While gazing at the window, the girl spoke indifferently. As always, it had been a conversation where she did not even look in my direction. However, just that time, I saw that her usual expressionless profile seemed sad. Taught that the 3rd temporary discharge would be the last, the first time I've come to the 7th floor. And then a girl who would soon face her 2nd. For me, I still couldn't really feel the things that were happening in reality, but someday, would I always come to make such a face? From before dawn, rain fell. Occasionally, after changing to either sleet or snow, it lightly continued coming down. Within that, I was in the usual place watching the television as always. The 7th floor was devoid of people.
面白い
Is it interesting? Nope. Boring. The girl came from the other side. Exchanging only those words, she quietly sat in the folding chair next to me. And then, today also, the two of us began gazing at the television. Surely the girl was also the same. There was nothing else to do, nothing else she could do. Nope. Surprisingly, she responded to something on the television. Something the matter?
別に
Not particularly. The words were the same, not particularly, but it was a response that was different from the usual for the girl. Becoming interested, I turned my eyes to the screen. What was on the screen was some kind of nature scene. On a beautiful hill, trees and flowers blended into a landscape. And focused on the screen were a great many white flowers. They were flowers I remembered seeing before. They resembled white flowers even now decorating the room by the windows. Are those the same flowers? Look, aren't they exactly like these? While speaking, I pointed at the screen and then towards the window.
種類は同じだけど厳密に言えば違う
They're the same kind, but strictly speaking, they're different. Giving just a glance at the flowers by the window, the girl once again turned to gazing at the television while answering. To say the truth, even if she denied that they were the same, to me, I didn't know the difference between the two. And anyways, for me, whether the flowers were the same or different, it didn't really matter. Instead of that, the girl normally would have participated in the conversation. That girl surprisingly continued with her words. That was why I also tried to maintain the conversation. Are you, maybe, knowledgeable about this sort of thing?
別に
Not particularly. Really? But I can't tell the difference. The white flowers blooming beyond the screen, the flowers in the vase beyond the girl's profile. While vaguely looking at both of them, I continued farther with my words. So these are orchids or lilies? Look, they've got a whitish color, right? Even though I had no interest, I managed to continue speaking. However, the girl soon became like usual and fell silent. With her usual expression, she only gazed at the boring screen. And when I had given up on the possibilities that she would take up the conversation and once again begin to move my eyes back to the television.
ナルキソス
Narcissus. Wait, no. Is that Narcissus? Is that Narcissus?
I don't know, bro.
Oh, it's my character's name.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
ナルキソスよ
They're Narcissus. Narcissus. Yeah, so it is. While answering, for the first time, she faced me, swaying her long waist-length hair while pointing at the flowers shown on the television. She looked at me. Just like the flowers displayed on the screen, there was a white vinyl bracelet wrapped around a wrist with white skin. The first time that I saw that face, I thought I saw the briefest of smiles. Ow!
Damn.
Chapter 2! On milk break. Okay, chapter 2. A few days passed and the winter became even more serious. Out in the world, it was in the middle of what was called examination season. As always, the two of us were watching the television today. It's boring, isn't it?
そうね
Indeed. An exchange that couldn't even be called a conversation. They were days where the two of us only meaninglessly passed the time. Speaking of which, for you, when was it?
今日よ
I see. It's today, huh? Where the today that was spoken about was what she had told me before her temporary discharge.
もう会えないかもね。
We might not meet anymore. That's right. Even if she were to once again return to the 7th floor, just once more was probably the limit. In that time, surely I would also be coming and going between home and this place. For the two of us, that a timing existed for us to meet again was quite unthinkable.
あなた決まった？
Did you decide? That which do you want to die at thing? No, not yet.
そう。
She nodded in a slightly lonely way. That expression was probably because she was someone going on their second temporary discharge. While I have yet to realize things, the doctors have not discussed what my first temporary discharge. That reminds me. In the end, did she decide on her own answer for herself? Oh, pitter-patter.
説明支度できたわよ。
The arrangements are done. Coming here and speaking was some older lady. Most likely it was the girl's mother. To me, since I was sitting next to her, the mother bowed her head slightly.
じゃあそろそろ行くけど用意はいい？
Are you ready?
それでは失礼します。
Once again, giving me a small bow, the lady made to leave the place. And then she stretched out her hand to the girl that was her daughter. But the girl didn't make to leave the place. Even when her mother tugged on her hand, for some reason, she didn't make to stand from the folding chair.
どうかしたの？説明。
What's wrong?
少し苦しい。苦しいってどこが？胸？お腹？胸。ちょっと待ってなさい。すぐに先生呼んでくるから。
Oh, pitter-patter. In a rush, making a slapping sound with her guest's slippers, the lady ran towards the nurse's station. Left in that place was the girl still hunched over in the folding chair, and me. Her condition, or its progression, I knew absolutely nothing about it. The thing that I knew were her name was Satsumi, blood type O. Only the things that were on the white bracelet. However, we were residents of the 7th floor, and at the least, she was worse than me. Say, until the doctors come, want to lie down there? As I spoke, I pointed to the couch. It was something that was placed in the corner of the room before. Look, I'll support your back.
別に。もう平気よ。
Oh, she's a fake! Was just the reply. She quickly stood up on her own. Hey, you! Don't force yourself. Faster than I could finish, quickly, she walked into the hall. Night after the lights were put out, as always, holding a book of manga, unable to sleep, I wandered around the hospital. And then, the lights off, the pitch dark lounge. There, I found her figure. Yo, you're here again. What's wrong? Feeling bad again?
別に。
Not particularly. While looking at the window, that was all the girl replied with. In the end, it seemed that the girl's temporary discharge had been postponed. With that, I didn't know when the next opportunity would be, but most likely the postponement was not in a few days, but weeks. Say, I'm just wondering, but today, were you faking sickness? Well, the term faking sickness itself might have been a bit strange, since after all, we couldn't really be said to be in a normal condition. The important thing is, you don't want to go on a temporary leave.
わからないわよ。
Well, you won't have any more after, right? To that question, she remained silent and gave no reply. From before, she had repeatedly asked me which place I planned to die in, and to that, I had not yet decided. While the girl had said she didn't want to she didn't like home or the 7th floor. You really don't have another place to go to, do you?
だったらどうなのよ。
No, nothing. In the usual lounge, now pitch dark. As always, without even looking my way, the girls sat looking out the window. Even though it's still 11 o'clock, in this place called a hospital, most of the lights were already out. This place where we ordinary and extraordinary days meet. Moreover, we were residents of the 7th floor. Already, we could choose nothing outside of the 7th floor and home. From that dark 7th floor window, the girl continued looking out the outside world, the ordinary world. Still, the buildings and houses shone brightly with light. The roads home were filled with the figures of people hurrying home. I myself had only barely realized my situation, but already I was a resident of the 7th floor, a person with extraordinary world. Probably I was already unable to return to that other world. The me whose time has stopped. Numerous seasons, white overcast skies, passed without even the need to exchange words with anyone. In the beginning, from the window I watched lively children go to school, people walking quickly. When I tired of that, I always watched the television. There was nothing else to do, nothing else I could do. Even outside the window, it was snowing, the screen had the sun. Without cold, heat, or pain, a dream would spread before my eyes. I sought peace in imagination. I only greatly increased my knowledge, simply accumulating more and more meaningless trivia. At some point, the things shown on the television lost their reality. Next, in books, in games, and then family. Finally, even my own body, as if watching some stranger, I lost the ability to understand it as real. That was why, when I came to the 7th floor, I wasn't surprised. If I closed my eyes, always, the world would disappear. That's why I thought I was fine with it, made myself think I was fine. As soon, I would discharge a second time. The next time I come here, I might not be able to walk on my own. Even though I knew that, I felt my unresisting self to be wretched. I felt myself, who didn't even have a destination, to be ridiculous.
時間を止め、心を止め。それでも22年も生きてきたのに、哀れ。
Oh. After a few days more, the cloudy days ended yesterday, and the high winter sky spread wide. Surprisingly, my father came to visit. In the beginning, he had a pained look on his face. However, he had said something about my insurance. At that time, his eyes weren't sad. Well, I have to talk a bit with the doctor. Saying that, my father went down the hall. He seemed to be heading to that place from before, that gloomy conference room. Once again, I was alone in the hospital room. With nothing to do, I stretched my hand out to the weekly magazines, bought for me from the store. They were there along with the fruits and juices that he always brought when visiting. Next to the basket with fruit inside, just in front of the melons that I hated. What came into view were car keys. Shining silver keys. It was the coupe father was so proud of, with the interior he apparently had modified. Before I had asked on a whim to borrow it, it had been quickly turned down. It was the keys to that car. And in my pajamas chest pocket, that driver's license. That day, even though it had lost its debut, I had continued to carry the license. It was proof of my once ordinary days. Slightly, I grasped the keys. I just went and did it. Even I didn't know the exact reason why. Simply, I just did that. It was like watching a single scene on a television somewhere. Then, taking a few days' worth of medicine that I had been given, and just placed them in a bag from the convenience store, and headed down the hall. Slipping by the nurse's station, I quickly continued to walk towards the elevator. In my right hand, a plastic bag. In my left hand, the car keys. In my chest pocket, the license that was supposed to have lost its debut hid. In front of the lounge, the next thing that came into sight was the figure of the girl as always, watching the television. Sitting in a cheap folding chair, today was also boredly looking at the screen. Hey you, is that interesting? Does it look like it? Nope, not at all. The usual exchange. Her eyes were, as usual, seemingly looking forward. Well then, shall we go together? While showing her the car keys in my hand, I continued speaking. I also don't like home. I also don't like the 7th floor. So, shall we go together? With that word, the girl stood up from her folding chair, lightly with her long hair swayed, and brushed the tip of my nose. And so, the girl also packed a few days' worth of medicine into a plastic bag. Then, the two of us placed the 7th floor behind us. I turned off the boring television. The sheerly laughing voice of the host was silenced. The two of us, in pajamas, got on the elevator and descended from the highest floor to the first. When we came to the first floor, instead of the entrance for emergencies normally admitted and discharges, we deliberately left from the outpatient entrance and headed to the parking lot. The moment we left the building, a cold winter blast struck us in the face. In the parking lot with few obstructions, the wind felt even stronger. Together, while peering around cautiously, we walked around the parking lot. Then, after searching a while, we finally found Dad's car. A silver coupe. The car Dad was so proud of that he even changed the interior. Quickly, I inserted the key and opened the door. Hey, you can get in. I sank myself into the deep driver's seat. For the girl in the passenger seat, because of her height, even if she sat normally, it was difficult for her to see to the front. No, this is Monda. This is not Honda. Next, I put the key in my hand into the ignition, and as I turned it, stepped on the accelerator. It was all exactly like what the training center had taught. In moments, the sound of the engine reverberated in the interior. After that, release the parking brake and just let go of the clutch. With this, we can go anywhere. Should be able to go anywhere. Well, here we go. The girl gave a small nod, and in response I shifted into second gear. Quietly, the car set off. As the chassis rattled from the unfamiliar clutch, slowly it went on. It's shaky, isn't it? It's the first time in this car after all. And while we're on the subject, it's the first time driving since getting my license. Eventually, it appeared before us, the hospital parking lot exit. Just beyond it was a large road. I pulled the car out into the lightless intersection. From behind came the sound of car horns blaring at us as we suddenly pulled into the lane. An unfamiliar clutch ground when the gear shifted while the silver coupe ran its fits and starts. Perhaps the car behind were especially angry. It didn't seem like they would stop honking for a while. Even so, without paying them any particular mind, I drove. The feeling of reality was somehow thin. Hey you! Nani? Are you afraid? No, not really. Still morning, the sun was high. Looking beyond the windshield, the January winter sky was painted so blue it somehow felt sorrowful. It wasn't like we had a destination. That day, under the winter sky, the car swayed with the unfamiliar clutch. That day in our pajamas, the two of us aimed for the national road. That winter day. Around when that so very high sun was turning orange. We continued to drive. Simply at random, the car continued running. And then, when the area turned into an unfamiliar place, I'm stopping for a bit. Finally, I brought the car to a stop. Outside of the city area, by the roadside somewhere, a lonely place that didn't seem to have much traffic. Stopping the car in a place I didn't even know the name of, I started inspecting the interior. If there were things that would be even the slightest bit useful, we had rushed out without any preparation, but I could see that we would be in trouble very soon. While thinking about that, first I searched the dashboard in front of me. There really isn't much, is there? Just a few hundred yen worth of what appeared to be change from the expressways. The rest were just a few books of manga and a disposable camera. It wasn't like we had a destination, but it seemed that the navigation system installed in the car was broken too. And also, the amount of money I had was about 8,000 yen. While leaving, I had hurriedly stuffed my life savings into my pocket. With that, and adding the change in front of me, I could barely make 9,000 yen. Of course, it wasn't like I had been expecting to find anything in the car from the start. But with this budget, we'd probably be in trouble really soon. I would definitely believe that we wouldn't find decent lodging. Even saying that, I doubt that the girl had any money. No, it's nothing. Oh well, it didn't matter. I should have known for this from the start. To begin with, it wasn't like we had thought of arrangements or plans from before acting. I kind of sound like Psyche K from Psyche K. Okay. Instead of that, right now I wanted to move. I didn't want to sit still. Under the now darkening sky, once again the silver coupe ran. By the way, are you hungry? As I drove, I spoke to that one sitting next to me, thinking about it. We hadn't eaten since this morning. For now, let's go to the convenience store.
Yeah.
No. Hey, don't be so picky. And compared to the 7th floor's food, it absolutely has to be better. At my words, the girl returned silently. Those downcast eyes, their line of sight was on the pink pajamas that she wore. Ah, now that you say, that's right. As I spoke, I looked down at my own clothes. Certainly, in these pajamas, wherever we went, we'd stand out too much. It wasn't like it was fine outside the car either, but in any case, we had to do something about these clothes. Making that decision, I turned the wheel from the main road and headed into town. After running a while, the place that we came to was some street I didn't know the name of. Surely, it must be near some station, since it was the street where about the number of people could be seen. In a place like this, you'd think there'd be one. While glancing around the area searching, I moved the car on, slightly raising my body in the seat while driving. Ah! Found one. In a short while, I spotted a coin-operated laundromat. It appeared quite run down and was in the first floor of a small apartment building. This place might just be perfect. A short distance away from the entrance, I parked the car. Alright, just wait a bit. Are we doing a Detroit Become Human right now? Are we gonna steal some clothes? Leaving the girl who was making a puzzled face, I headed to the coin-op laundromat on foot. Just past the automatic doors, my nose picked up the scent of bleach and detergent. Inside, it was just a rundown as the exterior, filled with old washing machines and dryers. There's no one around. I muttered those words in the empty shop. There, raising a low sound while spinning, was a single unit in use. Quickly approaching the machine, I started to check the timer. It looked like 200 yen had been inserted, and it was set for 30 minutes. Also, it had been going for only 5. Most likely, it was about done. The person was passing time somewhere. With that deduction, once again from the entrance, I looked around for someone that seemed like that sort of person. Then, making sure there was no one in sight, I placed my hands on the revolving dryer's door and suddenly opened it. Opened in the middle of the drying cycle, the machine was forced into a stop temporarily. Ignoring the blast of heat and damp air, I took out a mass of half-dry clothing from inside. Then, carrying it just like that in both hands, I looked around once more before I put the shop behind me. Seeing both my hands filled with laundry, the girl raised a bit of a surprised voice. However, paying no heed to that, I threw them into the back seat. Well, we're going. Vroom vroom! With one hand on the wheel, I eyed the pile of laundry I'd thrown in the back. At a glance, there was all flashy-looking jeans and sweatshirts. All the sizes seemed to be on the large side. They were still wet, but inside the car, with the heat from the vents, it'd probably be dry soon. Later, change it to something you like. For those words also came no particular reply. She simply looked at the pile of laundry. Well, what else could we do? Even for me, it wasn't like I did this because I liked it. The money that we held wasn't like we were sent on an errand with it. However, with that we had on hand now, buying new clothes would have been a tight situation. When the face of the moon really came out, and we had driven for a while, I stopped the car near some park somewhere. It was most likely some kind of children's park, tucked in the middle of a residential neighborhood. In the middle of that, I began to search through the clothes stolen earlier. Most likely because of the heating in the car, the laundry was totally dry. Assuming dry. Looks like it really is all guy stuff. Exactly as when I had glanced at them, it was all gaudy jeans and sweats. Most likely it was someone about my age, a size-wise something close. And then, while sitting in the driver's seat, I grabbed a pair of suitable jeans and sweatshirt and started to change. Hey, you should change into something too. They're all too big. Then, are you always gonna be in pajamas? Alright. With the reluctant reply, the girl took hold of a pair of jeans and opened the door. Hey, where are you going? To change. With just that answer, she began walking towards the restroom that could be seen in the park just ahead. Yeah, that was quick. In moments, the girl returned. The pink pajamas that she had been wearing up until now was in her hands, and she had changed into jeans and a white sweatshirt. Well, it was good that you managed to put something on. There was no reply. If it was something I saw coming, the size was too much and draped rather heavily on her. Since the jeans were too long, the legs were rolled up a number of times, while the top sweatshirt was in the same way folded over. The pajamas were better. Well, don't say that. It's a bit warmer this way. At my word, she gave me just the slightest dissatisfied look. I guess something more feminine would have been better. Not particularly. The girl's usual response. Even though I had thought she was dissatisfied with the poofy sweatshirt, soon she returned to her expressionlessness. Za! What makes the za sound? Oh, rain. Suddenly it started raining. As if it had forgotten how to stop, rain spilled from the cold January sky. Looking from inside the car, countless raindrops on the windshield. One by one, they would grow too big to stick. A number would gather, overflow, and turn to a rivulet. Then, while flowing down, they would involve other rivulets and flow even more. The two of us just sat gazing at that sort of rain from inside the car. In some parking lot somewhere, a lonely place in the mountains, having finished shopping at a convenience store, we were spending the night. On the menu for each of us, I'm gonna say that, 500 milliliters of Pocari and half an order of fries. It's been a while since having this stuff, eh? With one hand holding the convenience store, the girl murmured, thinking about if normally it wasn't all that splendid, but compared to the food on the 7th floor, it was good enough. And then, with both of us reached out towards the fries, suddenly the girl's hand stopped. Is something wrong? Not particularly. While answering, her line of sight turned towards the whitely fogged windshield. There, by the roadside, a number of white flowers could be seen. White flowers soaked by the rain. I didn't know whatever they were planted by someone or where they're naturally, but those flowers seemed familiar. Those were Narcissus. They were called daffodils. Those were daffodils. I didn't know too much about plants and all, but daffodils, I had at least heard the name before. And also I recalled that even though the girl would normally speak only rarely, she would uncharacteristically join in a conversation on this topic. That's why I went along and continued to speak. I guess these were also different from those too. Strictly speaking, they were different. They're quite rare things then, aren't they? Not particularly. They're everywhere. Everywhere. Like where? For me, it was like I put very much meaning in that statement. It was intended simply, but the flow of the conversation as a neutral question. And yet, she thought for a moment, then slowly opened her mouth. West? Awajishimiya is famous. Hey, wait. Awajishima? You mean, just how far do you think that is from here? For someone who had only just started driving like me, I couldn't even make a guess. Most likely, it was easily around 700 kilometers, and even using the expressways, I couldn't even begin to estimate the time it would take. First thing, considering our funds certainly didn't seem enough. Even if we stayed on the expressways and used the smaller roads, the cost of gasoline itself was ominous. Look, don't we say unreasonable things now? There's no way we could go to such a place, right? Who said anything about wanting to go? With just that answer, the girl once again gazed beyond the windshield at those flowers. The glass inside the car, cold from the rain, was fogged white. She cast her gaze beyond even that. It wasn't as if I wanted to go there also. However, it also wasn't as if we had another place to go to. I do. I say so much. Maps. know when people do like motivational speaks in the mirror every morning, I just go, and like I point at myself with a stern look. Only increasing my knowledge, simply increasing the number of meaningless values, simply desiring only information from the television screen. Eventually, the reel grew, faded, turned hollow. But I liked looking at maps. Cars, trains, things that would take me places. I liked them. Spreading maps upon the narrow bed, tracing route after route, tracing. Sedans sedans, coupes, convertibles. I also rode on many different kinds of cars. That ever continuing Route 1, I ran on and on upon it. Indigo blue sky and beautiful shoreline. I ran all the way to the places painted in my dreams, gently going around the curves traced by a cape, under the burning sunlight dashing to the brilliant white beach. But if I just closed my eyes, I could go anywhere. Scenery that I had never seen before would float before me as I was thought about lands that would never be able to go to.
無意味にただ知識だけを虚しく憧れ
Yearning.
募らせた。
I like that word. A sky where the rain had lit up. Flowing by an amazing speed, high clouds. From the ground, the still damp asphalt gave a unique shah noise. Within all that, as always, we continued driving on. Without a destination, simply just driving on. It wasn't like we were headed to the Awajishima we had spoke about last night. For one thing, as a problem before that, we probably didn't have enough gasoline money. While pondering about that, I continued driving straight along the unknown road. But where was this, I wonder? Suddenly, I wound up thinking about it. From the start, I wasn't all that good with geography, but all the place names were ones I've never seen before. I've been planning on driving onward in any case, but with the navigation system dead, I knew even less. Before I knew it, I was peering at a sign in the area while I drove. I don't really know.
何
I'm just wondering where this is. The girl spoke to me when I looked around, and I lightly replied. Well, most likely, even if I asked her, she wouldn't have known probably.
入間よ。埼玉県の
That place.
次の交差点を
At the time intersection, if you go right, Route 16, you'll go out to
八王子へ出るわ。
that place. Head Choji. You know? Did you live here before?
別にそんなんじゃないわよ。
That was the surprise. No, instead of surprising, why she knew so much was mysterious. No matter how you looked, she didn't seem the type to get in a car and go around. Then maybe from here to that place, Awajishima, you know the way?
質問の意味がわからない。
Well, you see, without getting on the expressway, you might be able to get there while using smaller roads, right? Look, the gasoline cost, our money might be enough after all.
あなた、行きたいの？
No, it's not like I meant that, but
じゃあ聞かない。
then don't ask. With those final words, the girl once again fell silent. In her usual cold way, she remained staring out the window. I had the feeling that those eyes were looking at was not the scenery flowering. What? I had the feeling that what those eyes were looking at was not the scenery flowing by before her, but a much farther place. Those words, don't ask, from before, just what did they mean, I wonder. If I had answered that I planned on going, what would she have answered? Without a destination, we simply traveled. From the start, we hadn't any problems or plans or schedules. Simply, we just hated both the 7th floor and our shallow homes. But for me, at the least just for me, it didn't matter what. I probably wanted something to give me direction. They've been gone for a while. Splash crash. It's cold, isn't it?
そうね。
Some beach I didn't know the name of when I noticed we were headed out toward the sea. I intended to head west, but it seemed at some point I wound up heading south. that sound. A beach with a pitch black sky and a strongly blowing cold wind, the two of us left the car and stood gazing at the dark sea. As always, the girl looked far away with the downcast air at where the black sky and sea merged at the horizon. And then, after watching the sea for a while, slowly she began walking to the water's edge.
どうなると思う？
I understand the meaning of your question.
楽に死ねると思う。このまま海に入っていくと。
Her back was turned to me, words as she continued to walk to the water's edge. The third time was the last. There was no fourth. Probably it would come to picking between the seventh and home. It seems no one has escaped that. Those were words the girl had once passed to me, and the girl was on her second, and had said that she wanted neither home nor the seventh floor. Already, it was after she had passed it on to me. Already, her task was over. That was why I thought it meant that. Who knows? I've never drowned before.
じゃあもしも今私が海に入っていったならあなた止める？
While speaking, she turned around and looked at my face, placing the moon floating in the pitch black sky to her back. The gaze that was always looking at some faraway place was looking straight at me. I don't know, not until that time.
そうよね。
And then, turning her back to me, once again facing the sea, she slowly started walking. Hey you!
何？
Is that... you want me to stop you? At my words, the girl stopped just a few steps before breaking waves. The strong wind misted up the spray from the waves, striking her feet. If you want me to stop you, I'll stop you.
別にそんなんじゃないわよ。
Then I don't have to stop you, right? For that question also, there was no reply. However, the feet that stopped did not go farther. That was why I thought that was her reply. A high, high sky that could only be found in winter. Stained, heart-wrenchingly blue, with a strong wind that whistled across the elevated rail line. Reflecting that blue sky was the metallic hood of the running silver coupe. I was gripping the steering wheel and the girl sat in her usual way in the passenger seat. Where this was, I didn't know, but as a more real problem, in moments we were going to run out of gasoline. From the start, we hadn't had that much money, but from purchases at convenience stores, our remaining funds were even less now. Now, there's only 7,000 yen. Of course, for this car, I didn't know how many liters it took, but I thought we probably had enough to fill the tank once. It wasn't as if we had a destination or anything, but losing our legs would mean we'd be stuck. I'll go get some gas. While speaking, I turned the wheel and headed toward the gas station in front of us. Welcome. Will it be credit card or cash? With cash. Will it be regular or high octane? Regular, high octane? I didn't really understand. Of course, when it came to this car, there were lots of things that I didn't know. But since I only just got my license, I knew very little about this sort of things in general. What shall it be? I hesitated to speak while the part-time clerk waited for my answer on the other side of the window. And just when I thought about it to say it didn't matter, the girl in the passenger seat spoke. Regular. Aha, yeah, regular. Yes, regular cash, full tank. Will that be alright? Yeah, please. Yes, certainly. With a cheerful reply, the attendant began to skillfully use the gasoline pump. From the window open about 10 centimeters came the distasteful smell of gasoline. Say, regular is fine for this? At the question, the girl remained silent. Instead, she quietly pointed at the price listing on the pump. Ah, of course, this was the cheaper one. I didn't really know how much about this, but I didn't think we there was much that different. And then there was the meter on the gas pump before my eyes, reporting the amount used. 25, 26, 27, 28. The digital display was counting up ferociously. Did I screw up? Looking at those numbers, I began to get nervous. Just before I had wound up saying full tank on a whim, but the amount of money we had on hand wasn't all that much. Putting together all the change, it was about 7,000 yen. Of course, I had no idea how large this car's tank was. If there wasn't enough money, what would happen? Going by price list shown, I believed we had enough for about 60 liters, but 38, 39, 40, that's what I want. Even now, the meter is counting up without slowing down. Under normal conditions, it would have been something I wouldn't have worried about, but as I continued watching, I grew more and more nervous. Damn it, it's still going. Before I knew it, the words tumbled out.
大丈夫よ。もう止ま
Okay.
るわ。
We'll stop now.
これ50リッターだから。
Just as she said, when the meter was between 47 and 48, it stopped. Following that, the sound of the receipt being printed ran out, and once again, the part-time clerk came back. Sorry for the wait. It comes to 5,240 yen. Aha! Here. From my pocket, I took out and handed over a 5,000 yen bill with a crumpled 1,000 yen bill. Here's your change of 760 yen and your receipt. Thank you very much. Putting the clerk's bright voice behind us, I once again pulled the car out onto the road before us. Once again, the silver coupe ran. With this, I felt the urgent fear of the gas tank to be gone for the moment. And our remaining funds was about 2,000 yen. I was also worried about that, but I was also curious about what happened just before. Hey, could it be that you know a lot about cars? Not particularly, but you said this was a 50-liter before. Or didn't you just say it was a 50-liter before? Of course, this might have just been a guess or something that was common knowledge. However, previously, the girl also knew about the roads. Also nagged by the fact I took out the car registration on the dashboard. You would, of course, know this car's name,
そ
right?
れは質問。
Is that a question? Well, you can think of it as a quiz.
インテグラタイプ R クーペ
That's correct. And the specs?
99年式5速ミッション最高出力200馬力
I hadn't thought that she would really answer. My eyes couldn't help but follow the words on the registration in my hands as the girl flatly continued speaking.
全長4380全幅1695総配まだいる
Do you want me to go on? No, that's enough. Correct. As I replied, I returned the registration to its place. Unbelievably, all the specs were exactly as recorded. It was very much something that I didn't think could be memorized. If asked why someone would, I couldn't begin to imagine it. But right before my eyes, this girl answered. Moreover, considering the roads and flowers from before, I could believe that she knew about a wide variety of things. Hey, why do you know so much?
別にあなたより年上だからよ
With just that answer, once again, the girl fell silent. Gazing out the window, she didn't give off an air that she would answer any new questions I raised. Older? It really didn't look like it, but those were also the girl's words from before. Name, Tatsumi, blood type O, those are the words written on her white vinyl bracelet. Then that she seemed to be older, that was the little information I knew of her. When the sun was slowly setting, the silver coupe continued running. Without a destination, without a place it needed to go to, just simply moving forward. The issue of gasoline was fine, but the remaining money had mostly disappeared. Even counting the change, it was about 2,000 yen. Thinking in terms of buying meals at convenience stores, it would last about 3 or 4 days. Hey, what should we do from now on?
質問の意味がわからない。
I mean, we don't have much money
だ
left.
から
And so, the girl was as she always had been. She spoke while bringing that meal just bought from the convenience store to her mouth. And also, just by continuing to drive like this, without a doubt, the gasoline was being used up. In reality, doing nothing, just standing still might have been better. However, doing nothing, being unable to do anything, just staying still was painful. While thinking that, I kept driving. From previous experiences, driving on the smaller road, it was about just 3 days before the gasoline ran out. The remaining 2,000 yen had used to buy food from the convenience store was also 3-4 days probably. Clearly, the end of things was coming into sight. Hey you. That place, Awajishima, was it? You want to go there? There was no reply, just the usual gazing out the window as usual. I might want to go a bit, maybe. Why? Well, that's... Of course, from the start, we hadn't dashed out of the 7th floor with goals or plans. That was why for me, going west, east, or whatever it is, it didn't matter. I sure was any place would be fine. I just wanted some goal or destination. When the day completely turned to night, I was on some pachinko parlor's parking lot. Of course, I wasn't planning on taking money or making money off pachinkos or slots. With this measly 2,000 yen, I knew I didn't stand a chance. However, if it were just 10 or 20,000 yen, it should have been easy to steal that much. That was from my previous travels, though, pachinko parlors, I guess. With just that much, from the moment I would be fine, and from that, we might even be able to get to that Awajishima. That was why I spoke about my plan to the girl. How about it? Want to try?
Yeah.
No. I see. Alright. Besides, it was what was expected. But I was plainly refused. From the start, it wasn't as if I was expecting anything from the girl. It wasn't as if I had sought out her help. Explaining my plans to her was one more declaration. It was more like a declaration. Well then, wait a bit. Leaving her in the car, I walked towards the pachinko parlor, alone. Inside the unexpectedly crowded shop, there was a number of machines, ball dispensers, and a fair amount of people. Here and there were also a number of stacked cash boxes. It might just be right. Making that decision, I headed toward the slot corner that was my target. After a while, scouting from the aisles, from examining the area, I found one machine. Some middle-aged man who definitely looked like an office worker had stacked 4 boxes by his feet, and above his hand had another 2 stacked. Moreover, it was a corner machine, and the neighboring machine was empty. From what I had seen before, he also didn't seem to have come with friends or acquaintances. The conditions were lined up. Most likely in that statement, even if 1 box by his feet were stolen, he wouldn't notice right away. If it was like a similar shop, it should be worth some 20,000 yen. If we had just that, I simply waited intently for the office worker like person to head to the restroom. Eventually, about when 30 minutes had passed, finally the man stood up from his seat. Quickly following after, I went to the restroom to make sure. Then I quickly returned to the slot machine. Next, while checking the people who were playing the slots and the shop staff, I slowly approached the machine. Then, in order to avoid suspicion, acted perfectly natural, I pulled up a cash box at my feet. At that instant, a tremendous sound raised as the slot coins scattered on the floor. Pulled it up was the plan. No, certainly, I raised it up, once with these hands. However, unable to support the weight, I wound up dropping the entire box on the floor. and then all eyes were over wondering what caused that loud racket. I thought I heard the sound of voices, felt the presence of people running over. However, those voices were heard from behind me. Already by that time, I was 2 meters in front of the shop exit. Starting the engine in a big rush, I slammed on the gas. Turning the wheel, I hurriedly pulled the car out. At that time... Is that... Tisk. Maybe because I had driven up to the curb or something, just in that moment, I wound up ramming the rear. That gari sound was the nasty sound of the body scraping. However, there wasn't time to worry about that. I drove out onto the road in front of us. Ha! Phew! While rubbing my chest, which was almost out of breath, I drove Silver Coupe along the now totally dark road. I was a bit worried about the spot that was hit before, but for now, getting away from that place had priority. Then, driving about 10 minutes about when we were totally clear of the pachinko parlor, I stopped the car by some roadside and began inspecting the place that was hit earlier. It's probably nothing major. On the passenger seat, the girl called to me sounding just a tiny bit worried. While I inspected the damaged area, I answered. Looking at it, the rear bumper was slightly dented, and the muffler's tip was a bit cracked. With just this, there wouldn't be a problem driving. Phew! Feeling relief, I let out a sigh. So close. Immediately, I recalled the events in the pachinko parlor. I had failed with just a little bit more to go, but if I did it well, the next time I thought I could succeed. I figured that even though I hadn't been able to carry the cash box, that was only because I haven't lifted heavy things in a while. If I were prepared from the start, I could probably manage.
勘違いしてるわね。今のあなたは以前のあなたとは違うはず。
The girl spoke words as if she were seeing clear through me. However, with a weight like that,
同じように考えない方がいい。
most likely what the girl was saying was right. I didn't want to admit it, but the me now was different from the me from before. Certainly, with my strength reduced by this much, it was hard to believe I would succeed. And what should I do? To that question, there came no answer. Just quiet gazing at the dark sky beyond the window. That probably was telling me to give up.
時間を止め、心を止めて、情報だけを積み重ねる日々。
Days of gazing at maps, closing my eyes, traveling to unknown towns. One day, on a monthly magazine I always bought, my eyes stopped on a photo decorating the back cover. It was a female model wearing a flashy swimsuit, shot at the water's edge with that sort of pose. With the emerald sea I always saw in my dreams behind her, she was smiling. I sure was we were around the same age. I was sure we were around the same age. With that exceptional style, happy and relaxed, directing a smile at me. I don't think I was particularly envious. For one thing, I didn't have a swimsuit. I didn't even have any urgent need to have one. For me, if I had pajamas, that was enough.
誰とも言葉を交わす必要もなく過ごした。
That day, first year of middle school in June, the first day I was admitted into the hospital. I remembered that I had ordered a swimsuit, recalled the swimsuit from a number of years before. I remember the swimsuit that I had lost its debut that day, taken out of the trunk for the first time in years, a school swimsuit that was still brand new. Taking off my usual pajamas nervously, I put on that blue swimsuit. It was a perfect fit. Even though how many years have passed, it fits as if, I just ordered it. Towards my figure, the monthly magazine model directed her smiling face at me, smiling with the emerald sea at her back. With that exceptional style, happy and relaxed, directing a smile at me. That was saddening. I didn't think I was particularly envious. However, to be honest, I really might have admired her. Because I knew that it was impossible, I might have yearned for that even more so.
だけど胸の大きな傷跡が生涯の伴侶は目を閉じた世界にしろと諭した。
When the sun slowly slanted, staining the western sky orange, as always, we continued to drive. What should we do now? Our money was for the most part tight.
ねえあなた、
When I was thinking about that, surprisingly, the girl spoke to me.
あなた、お風呂は入れるの？
Right now, outside for long baths, I haven't been told to stop.
そう。私も似たようなもんよ。
What she was saying was probably whether the doctors have stopped me from taking baths or not. Especially for kidney and digestive disorders, where tubes were used, baths were often banned. Thinking it that way, at the least, the girl probably had a circulatory problem like I did. What? Did you want to go take a bath?
悪い。
Problem? No, I was one... Oh! I also want to take one. My game, jittered there for a second. Even so, financially speaking, stopping at a hostel or hotel was out of question. Well then, shall we look for a bathhouse someplace?
銭湯？
Something like that. We still have the money for. On second thought, I'm fine. What? You're fine? Since that day when we left from the 7th floor, 3 days have already passed. There, bathing was done twice a week, and in order to wipe the body, each day there were 2 warm sponge baths. Because of the season, we didn't sweat, and we were mostly in the car, so it didn't particularly get dirty, but... Is it that you're embarrassed about the bathhouse, and so you don't want to go? Who is sending me stuff on Instagram? Not particularly. I didn't mean that. The sun had completely set, and a large moon showed its face in the sky. After that, driving for a while, I found a place that looked like a school somewhere. Here might be just right. I stopped the car on the roadside near the entrance. And then I began fishing through the mass of laundry that had been left in the back seat. I was sure there were 2 or 3 towels. So pushing aside the clothes that didn't matter, I took up what I felt like a towel. It had the words Chirashi Construct printed on it. Most likely some marketing thing, as it was a shabby towel. Well, wait a bit. Holding 2 of the shabby towels, I headed to the school in the front of us. Climbing over the closed gate, I peered over the area for the place I was looking for. There it is. After a while, I had the faucet that I was looking for. It was there for the gardens. Turning the faucet, the water flowed out strongly, cold enough that it felt like we were slicing through one's body. Then I wet the towels and firmly wrung it out. Sorry for the wait. Here. Taking one of the 2 damp towels I carried, I gave one of them to the girl. Then, taking off the sweatshirt I wore on top, I went ahead and started to wipe my body. In In the car interior, well warmed from the heater, the feel of the chilly, damp towel felt good. You don't have to hold back. Wipe your body. It's cool and feels good, you know?
わかった。
Alright. At first, the girl had stayed unmoving with a sense of hesitation, but with that answer, she slowly took her hands to the buttons of her underclothes. Floppy dress shirt and jeans. Unlike me, she placed her hand within the clothes and wiped her body that way. Something the matter?
見ないでよ。
Ah, sorry. That's right. Holding a towel in her hand, the girl murmured with her clothes partially off. She made a face with just the slightest bit of reluctance and embarrassment. It was the first time I saw her with that expression. In the cramped car, the two of us faced our backs to each other. How about it? Feels good, doesn't it? It was just turning totally dark, and the interior was dimly lit. The glass right in front of me reflected the image of myself wiping my body. And farther past my figure, it reflected the girl's figure behind my back. Just like me, she had taken off her top and was wiping herself. Without intending to, I saw her. A large scar on her chest could be seen. Most likely, there were scars from surgery. I didn't know the details, but it was larger than mine.
ねえあなた、
What is it?
そんなに珍しい。
From beyond my back, words toward my figure reflected in the glass. Under the cloudy sky, the silver coupe ran on. As always, it continued to run with no destination, and looking back, 3 days had passed. In that span, nothing particularly special had happened. To be really particular, along the way, we found a partially free, open-air bath. There wasn't really many people around, so at least we managed to take a bath. Other than that, we were towards the bottom of our money, and once again, towards the bottom of our gas tank. Have you gotten a bit tired of it?
別に。
The two of us, while eating convenience store, that exchanged words. Compared to the food on the 7th floor, it might have been better, but even then, after eating only this for a number of days, it was looking boring. However, even this kind of food, considering our money, would probably end in a few more trips to the store.
音がうるさい。
Huh? What's this all of a sudden?
車の音。前より。
Oh, now that you say, it really has. Most likely the cause was the time we fled from the pachinko parlor in the days where the muffler was hit. I hadn't been worrying about it, but certainly the sound of the car had gone a bit louder. Well, it probably wasn't going to get in the way of driving. And before that, the problem right before us was gasoline. The meter had been pointing at empty, and we'd been running like that for 5 minutes. And our money right now amounted to 900 yen. With that, unlike last time, it was clearly not enough. If we totally ran out of gas, then there would probably be nothing that we could do. Making a decision, we pulled into a gas station. Moreover, looked for a self-service station. Soon I found one and pulled the car to a stop at the closest pump from the many lined up. I'll get some gas. But I didn't get out of the car. Oh, but don't get out of the car. There was no reply. However, she probably also understood what that meant. Opening the car gas cap, I put in the gasoline by intimidating others. In the area, there was one other customer, and the back was imitating, not intimidating. In the area was one other customer, and in the back was a building with vending machines. I could also see someone that looked like a clerk. Most likely, that was where the one paid the bill. Looking at the explanatory plate on the wall, it seemed that after filling up, one would take the receipt over there. In that case, we could just drive off and run away. While looking around the quiet gas station, that's what I felt. 23, 24, 25, 26. The number on the meter showing the amount of gas pumped, unlike before, I thought it was going very slow. I felt very irritated while waiting for the tank to fill. And then passing 40 liters just when the tank was about to fill. Welcome! The clerk that seemed to be a part-timer there had been in the building up until now for some reason, ran over here. Ashtray, tire pressure, are they all fine? Yeah, they are. I see, it's cold, so please be careful. Perhaps intended to be service, the clerk started cleaning the windows. As that was happening, the pump announced the tank was full, and the gas, and with a business-like sound, spat out the receipt. Please make your payment over there. Pausing from washing the windows, the store clerk pointed at the building from before. Silently, I held the receipt, unable to think of what to do. I wound up standing still. Is something the matter, sir? No, nothing. For the moment, I went back inside the car, and then I only started up the engine. What should I do? The part-time clerk was starting to clean the rear windows now. Right now, if I slammed on the accelerator, however, without a doubt, the license plate would be noted down. If there were an investigation, we could be easily caught. However, in order to run here, I made a decision and firmly stepped on the clutch. And then when I switched the gear out of neutral and was about to enter second... Suddenly the girl took out an envelope from inside that. She took out 10,000 yen bill and held it out to me. You had money? And I had been convinced she had none. If that were the case, I wouldn't have had to go through all that trouble until now. Why didn't you say anything? Did you ask? No, that's because I wasn't asked. With just that answer, once again, as always, she faced the window. Once again, the coupe ran on. For now, we had a full tank of gas. Moreover, I also received 5,000 yen bill as change. However, for me, I was more interested about what happened just before. Hey, you. Here, this is all of it. Before I could speak, the girl offered me the envelope from before, just like that. It's okay if I use this. Looking inside the envelope I took, there were still four 10,000 yen bills. With that, we could probably be fine for a while. However, now I was more concerned about something else. Why did the girl have so much money? At the least, a few thousand yen that I had from the start was just what I had been carrying with me when we left. However, in the girl's case, I felt it was like she had been prepared in advance. Hey, you. Before you said that you didn't like the 7th floor, right? I also didn't like home. I'm the same way. We were planning on going somewhere. This is money for that purpose, isn't it? I remember the girl's words from before. She said that she'd go somewhere a while she was still able to move on her own. Asked me whether I wanted to stop her or wanted to go with her. Then you really did have some place you wanted to go to. Not particularly. I couldn't understand if you say not particularly. Oh. How do I... Oh. There was no place. Just that, looking lonely, she sadly murmured. Then this girl was, without a destination, but still picturing some day in the future, simply preparing for it all this time alone. It was concerned why she had been doing such an empty thing, but I sensed the girl's lonely profile was confirming that. Even me, not particularly. I'm not imitating you. We continued driving without a destination. I, who had impulsively flew from the 7th floor, and the girl who didn't have a place to go, but Holly only continued to prepare. However, right now it doesn't matter where. I just want to go somewhere. At the least for me, I wanted something to give me direction. Well, how about that Awajishima that we talked about before? With the money we have now, it's definitely enough to go. I'm sure that any place would have been fine, even the 7th floor, even someplace not home, so long as we could continue going. However, I didn't just want to wander around aimlessly. I think I wanted a goal. It didn't matter what. Don't you think of wanting to go too?
別に
Which is that answer. Once again, she turned her gaze out the window like she usually did. Always, her eyes seemed to be looking at something far away. Just what on earth is she looking at, I wonder? What was she thinking? What was she expecting? When she came here, I wonder. Route 1.
地図を見るのは
I
好
like
きだった
I liked looking at maps. Route 1 that continued forever, the unknown places, the cars that would take me anywhere, everywhere. I love them. But no matter how much knowledge I accumulated, it was imagination. Reality, my heart, was steadily grew fragile. I had a swimsuit, I had maps, I had no future. I even had a world outside the window, but I had no reality I could touch. If I closed my eyes, I could go to a world of nothingness, but it wasn't as if this world itself had disappeared. I knew that. My lifelong companion was resigned to the world of closed eyes, and yet, always imagining what if, hoping for a maybe, gazing at a dream, but in the end, yearning never meant beyond longing. Before the bikini swimsuit and the emerald sea, the large scar on my chest advised me to give up.
だけど
Spending most of my life at a hospital, spending time only in the world of my closed eyes, being unable to choose anything but the 7th floor or home was pitiful. Without being given room to choose, but even saying that, unable to even find that place, I felt myself to be pathetic. Even though I had lived 22 years,
一つくらい好きにさせてよ
when I murmured that, the time that should have stopped felt like it swayed. On that day, the heart that should have stopped hurt. The cleared blue sky of winter reflected on the hood as the silver coupe ran. As always, it ran without a destination, but for the moment, neither gasoline nor shopping seemed to be a problem. Soon, we were about to enter a large intersection. Last night I hadn't got the girl's approval, but I just generally headed west anyways. It was just, I had absolutely no idea about the geography, and the cost of using the expressway seemed painful. While thinking about that, the large intersection came up ahead. Without thinking about it, I was going to drive straight through.
そこ左折 左に曲がって
Suddenly, the girl gave me directions. While wondering what it was, I followed her instructions and made a left turn, coming out onto a large road. Just what was that?
これが1号線
This is Route 1. For a
道路は
while.
まっすぐよ
Go straight. For a while. Her sudden directions left me surprised. Up until now, she had come along, and while she seemed to know everything, this was the first time she spontaneously gave me directions. Is it that you started wanting to go? To that place, Awajishima.
悪い
Problem? No, that's not what I meant. We had driven without any destination. I, who had been wandering around wanting a goal, and the mysterious girl always looking far away. What came from the girl's mouth was unexpected.
期待してるわけじゃない 別に水着が欲しいわけじゃ
What are you saying?
でもないわよ。
Under the clear winter sky, while reflecting the sunlight, the silver coupe ran on. It passed through Hakone, with its steep inclines and sudden curves, and now the roads turned much gentler. Hey, this place is around where?
愛知県よ。間もなく名古屋市街に入るわ。
Thinking of our money, we drove on the lower roads without using the expressways. Myself alone, it would have been absolutely impossible, but following the girl's direction, we went on. The girl who was more knowledgeable than the navigation system pointed out the way. I didn't know the reason why, but I felt that it was probably the right route.
次の交差点、22号線に入って。
Got it. Changing lanes as told, I turned the wheel. In the scenery flowing by the window, we first saw a busy city stretch far to the north. Then, while unnoticed, the scenery around us slowly turned to more calm things. You want to go there? By the side of the national road, some family restaurant chain. As I drove, I pointed to it and continued speaking. Look up. Look, up until now, we've been eating only convenience store food, right? Of course, we hadn't been eating only convenience store food because we liked it. We had to consider our money and didn't have that sort of room for choosing. But now we had just a little more room financially, and that was why I made that suggestion. But once in a while, a restaurant's good too.
私はコンビニでいい。
While saying that, just a bit, the girl looked down. It seemed like she was looking at her clothes. Got it. Then want to go there first? Let's just search us up a front. Some kind of jeans shop. It was one of those places often seen along the national roads that looked like some kind of wholesale outlet dealing with jeans and casual wear. I'm sure a store like that would have something that don't cost much. Well, we're going in, okay? There's no reply, but there was also no resistance. Could it be that if she didn't object, I could think of it as an agreement? We entered the store. On the large 2 floors, the girl curiously went around many of those sections. She was silent as usual, but might have looked and changed from her usual appearance. But somehow it was slightly different from the time she was lifelessly staring at whatever came on the boring television. Over and over, she would pick something up, look at the price tag, and fall into thought. While trying things on, she would come up to me.
どう？
How is it? It suits you.
変じゃない？
Probably. Over and over like that, the girl would change clothes and come back to show me. Why she would never smile or show any emotion, I just sensed somewhere that she was enjoying herself. How about it? Decided?
これにする？
While saying that, she showed me the last set she changed into, a cute shirt and short skirt. Those clothes were exactly like a middle school or high school students, but she happily wore them. Certainly, she had said that she was older than me, but however you looked at it, when put together with a figure that really didn't look older, it suited her so well it was charming. But that skirt, isn't it better if you gave up on it? I know, it's not that it doesn't suit you or anything. Look, isn't it cold? It's cold, isn't it? It's not healthy for the season.
別に平気よ。私我慢するから。
When she answered, I could see the slightest bit of red on her white face, even though normally she would absolutely never show any emotion. Could it be that she was embarrassed? That it was the first time I saw her show emotion? We continued on driving. Under the high winter sky, the silver coupe with the slightly noisy exhaust continued driving.
次で21号線に入って。
Alright. As usual, we went on following the girl's navigation. Before we knew it, we were in Gifuken. Normally, except when it needed, the girl would always be gazing out the window. But now, again and again, she would happily look at a reflection in the side mirror. As if she were trying to avoid my noticing, she peered into the mirror.
何？
Nothing the clothes from before. Looks like you like them.
別にそんなことないわよ。
It's always not bad. Saying that, she stopped, looking at the side mirror. But after a while, when I was looking away, the girl once again started checking the mirror. In the end, she always got a cute side, it seems. From just that little thing, just normally, and only normally, I thought she was cute. When the sun had completely set, at some roadside somewhere, we had once again fished our meals of convenience store food. Saying, I wonder what's become of things right now. Even now, wrapped around my wrist, the white vinyl bracelet, on it my blood type, and the name was recorded. As I looked at the hospital nameplate, I murmured, "You think there's been a big uproar?"
多分ね。
Yeah. Parents, friends, as well as the hospital doctors. When I thought that even if only at the surface they were worried about me, it pained my heart a little. Sorry, Dad, everyone. Going off and doing something selfish.
ねえ、あなたって
Something the matter?
最初に死ぬって聞かされた時泣いた？
The girl's sudden question for a moment. I was taken aback. Then I thought about the weight of the question for a time. I think I didn't cry.
じゃあどうして自分だけって運命を呪った？
That I don't really remember. In the beginning, I wasn't able to realize what was happening in reality. I thought it was because I couldn't convince of it as it being real. However, in truth, there might have been a bit of that. The friend I went to the training center with bought a new car, complained about how much terrible the 36 loan payments were. There were those who got jobs, those who got left back in school, those who had kids, those who were dumped by their girlfriends again. But I was denied a future. That's why, to be honest, I think there had been the feeling of why only me. Even when I told myself this was fate, still, I think there was the feeling of not wanting to give up. Then, what about you?
私
Yeah, did you cry out of sadness or curse fate?
私は平気だった。
Why?
だって最初から何も望んでなかったから。私は諦めていたから。
I see. If you give up from the start, there'd be no disappointment. If you looked into your past, there wouldn't be any happy things, but also no painful things. But I had a feeling that the way of thinking was far too sad. Perhaps, in the girl's case, maybe there was nothing else that could be done.
前に見た映画で言ってた。狼は3年しか生きないって。
Wolves? Suddenly, the girl started talking about something I didn't really get.
でもロバは9年も生きるんだって。
What's this? Wolves are 3 years and donkeys are 9?
ロバは役に立つから長生きする。そういうことらしいの。
The girl looked lonely as she gazed out the window, her words sliding out. This was probably, for this girl, the excuse to convince herself, the excuse that she could give up. Under the evening sky, we continued straight along Road 21. dancing in the darkening sky, lightly floating specks of white, seemed to be depending on circumstances. It might snow harder.
どうかした？
Yeah, it's snowing. Then I noticed that sides of the road had become white with falling snow. I didn't know when we had come to a snowy area, but everywhere it looked was stained with white. This might be trouble. From what I had seen before, these tires weren't studless winter tires. If farther ahead was an even snowier area, it might be troublesome. Hey, is this a snowy area? Well, if the snow gets worse, it might be difficult, you see. Even if the road surface wasn't covered in snow in such a place, it wasn't surprising if the road froze over. And thinking about it, I hadn't learned anything outside the instruction center's textbook, and we might need to have chains put on. How about it? Do you know?
この先は関ヶ原。
I heard that the last time. What I want to know is whether the place gets heavy snow.
わからない。
For some reason, the girls answered with a lonely expression. From that expression, I felt that something didn't match up. Even though she knew that much about the roads and also knew so much about this car, compared to that, this seemed like something she would definitely know. Alright, at any rate, I'll drive carefully. The shoreline, we get out of the car and gazed at a lake. Blown by the strong wind here and there, white snow even stained the frozen lake surface. And in that, facing what seemed like the sea's edge, the girls slowly started walking. It was a scene that occurred before.
どう思う？
That if you continue into the sea like this, would you die comfortably thing?
海より楽な気がする。
I don't see the basis for that answer.
だって海水は塩辛いし体も浮いちゃうでしょ。
That's impressive reasoning. With the cold north wind and the falling snow, the two of us exchanged words where one couldn't tell whether we were serious or joking. And then, the feet had briefly paused, once again started moving towards the lake.
やっぱり止めないの。
Well, today you don't plan on dying, right? That place, Awajishima, was much farther. Would that be? I wonder. It's not as if I wanted to go there or that I had some sort of obsession with it. However, even though we had been wandering around with no purpose now, we'd found ourselves with a similar place to aim for. Even without me stopping her, the girl's feet remained one step before the water's edge. I was sure that was how it was.
そこから1号に戻って。
From there, go back to Route 1. Got it. From Route 8 back to Route 1, following the girl's navigation, this time headed towards Kusatsu.
で、今ってお金は大丈夫？
We still have about 30,000 yen. Before we had bought clothes, but other than that, we continued on our usual convenience store fare. Is something the
じ
matter?
ゃあ高速に乗る？
Expressway. You can't go all the way using the smaller roads?
確かにギリギリまでならいけるけど、でも最終的には必ず有料道路に乗るから。
I see. Well, Awaji Island it's Awaji Island after all. I didn't know the details, but in order to get to Awajishima, one had to cross the Seito Ohashi Bridge or some other bridge.
じゃあ草津からバイパスに入って。
Alright. Following the girl's direction, we went from the Seta interchange and connected into Meishin Expressway. Compared to the normal roads we had been running on until now, it was obviously a better maintained road. There was no traffic lights and and with the good visibility of the road, even for the first time expressway driver like me, I felt like it was easy to drive on. It was just, if I were in the high-speed lane on the right, the cars that came from behind at a ferocious pace were scary. At the start, I didn't know what passing was, or what the right blinker meant, but when I got used to it, I thought driving on the expressway was fun. Amazing, that car passing us on an astounding speed, some car from somewhere we were driving leisurely. I couldn't help but look at each other. And then the girl who sat in the passenger seat looked slightly different from usual. Normally, she would be looking out the window with distant eyes, but today, surprisingly, she was curiously looking around at the cars. Speaking of which, for some reason she knew a lot about cars. I pointed at a car from before that ferociously passed us. So, what car was that just now? Come on now, think of it like a quiz.
トヨタセリカオーバービュ
And then the one that passed us now?
ーシトローエクサラ
So you know them well, don't you? To be honest, I couldn't tell whether she was right or not. However, the girl that would rarely open her mouth on her own seemed to be enjoying herself as she answered again and again. That was why, without pausing, I continued to speak.
青いのがユーノス赤いのはアルファロメオ
She even answered for two cars that passed us at the same time. But you don't know that one, right? As I spoke this time, I pointed to something different from a normal car, a truck. I want to see if that slightly troubled face from the girl who would show so little emotion. So yeah, I guess you don't know trucks, eh?
日産アトラス
Hey, you're amazing. Even though I was trying to give her a hard time, I hadn't thought she would know even trucks. If you know this much, isn't it on a level where you can be proud of yourself? Or proud of it? Is that so? I think you can puff out your chest. The girl returned silent at my words. She seemed just a little bit embarrassed. I'm sure she really liked cars. Well then, when we get over there, you want to try driving?
でも私免許持ってない
We'll be fine. I'm sure driving on the beach or something will be fun. Most likely, if we go to Awajishima, there would be plenty of deserted places. Plus, this car was a manual transmission, so once she got used to it, I thought it would be interesting. Well, in that case, I'll teach you. Nah, well, even so, I'm just a new driver myself. And the high sun was just misting over. The silver coupe continued to run along the expressway. Soon, we would be at the Katsugarwa parking area. Moving slower, we drove in what could be called a slower resting pace. Say, you want to take a break next?
うん
What's wrong?
ちょっと疲れたみたい
I see. It wasn't too surprising. Just before, she had been so excited, and originally, we were even more sick than ordinary sick people, so it was probably natural. Well, I'll go buy you something. Alright, I'll go buy them quick. Rushing over to a nearby shop, I bought things that weren't too different from what I would buy at a convenience store. Here, a pokeri, that thing, and also the fries. Those are the words of her reply, but the girl just took them and didn't move to eat. Even though normally she would have started eating the fries first. You alright? Is that you're starting to feel bad?
薬が切れただけだから
I see. Her medicine ran out. That was something I feared. Well, no, it was something that could easily be imagined from the moment we left the hospital. Of course, I'd forgotten about it on purpose. Up until now, I hadn't thought about it. I hadn't even sensed to think about it. Since when did your medicine run out?
昨日の夜
Then it's almost been an entire day. In my case, I'd been told by my doctor that 2 days without taking any was my limit. Most likely, the girl's case was similar. Now that I thought about it, since the day that we left the hospital, 8 days had already passed. The amount of medicine that we carried on hand, I could have seen that sooner or later, it could wind up like this. Right now, what should I do?
私
I know, you don't want to go home either, right? Once again, the silver coupe ran on. In the end, I got off the expressway at the next exit. It wasn't that it would help anything, but I wouldn't be able to do anything while on it. From the bleak expressway exit, I continued driving towards an urban area. Then I searched, not for a small town doctor, but a large hospital, more precisely. I was looking for the pharmacists that are near large hospitals. To be honest, going to a hospital may have been the best thing. If it were normal sickness, without any hesitation, I would have done so. However, we were residents of the 7th floor, and the vinyl identification bracelets were wrapped around our wrists were white. And also, we were people who fled from the 7th floor. While thinking about it, I peered around while gripping the wheel. I was sure that a pharmacy near a large hospital should have been most of things. Found one. Standing on the corner facing a large street was some large university hospital. Right near it were the signs of 2 or 3 of pharmacies. Just when I decided I wouldn't be able to find parking, I found an open space and quickly stopped the car. Let me borrow your medicine bag. With a mystified expression, the girl handed the bag with medicine over. I took that bag of medicine used in the hospital wards and took out the only paper explaining the medicine. With this, it should be fine. Well, I'll be back soon. Leaving her alone in the car, I ran the short distance to the pharmacy. Passing through the shuddering slow automatic doors, I came into the store. I headed straight for the counter. Welcome! The person who called out to me was a middle-aged man wearing white clothes. He really fit the image of a pharmacist. I need this medicine, please. Yeah. Just wait a moment, please. With that, the man took the medicine explanation paper I handed over and went into the back. Most likely, instead of dispensing normal medicine, this place dispensed medicine from hospitals. When I went to an outpatient hospital before, I remember going to a place like this just to get the medicine. Obviously, it was built right next to the hospital, and I thought the most medicines would probably be gathered there. Sorry for the wait, comes out to this much. Eventually, the man returned. In his hand were clear bags with capsules of medicine. He was carrying 2 bundles of them. With that much, it was probably all right for a while. At a glance, there was probably 1 week's worth. And then I was taking out my wallet. Before that, may I see your prescription? Prescription? I'm taking out the prescription for the medicine. These are clinical use, you see. You see one from your doctor, right? I hadn't expected this. Well, no, thinking about it calmly, these weren't over-the-counter items. You couldn't buy these normally. Something the matter? No, I faltered, and the man in the white began to lay increasingly suspicious eye on me. Wait, that's... Then noticing the white bracelet wrapped around my wrist, and the words that were written on it, my name, blood type. He was trying to read the name of the hospital. I got snatched. The medicine left on the glass counter reflexively. I grabbed the whole pile. He did it in reflex. Hey, wait! The man behind the counter gave a great shout. I heard that voice behind me, but I was already running. It was only 5 meters from the shop exit. Unable to gain steady foot, I was stumbling, but even then I ran on in a daze. and then coming to the shuddering, slow automatic doors I was making to leave the store. At that time... Ow! Damn it! Suddenly, for a moment, my awareness turned white. I slammed my head on the edge of the automatic door. Why do I keep saying atomic? On the automatic doors with enough force that it seemed to have cracked. While shaking my wobbly head, I reached out with my hand and opened the automatic doors that had stopped partially open. And then, when I got out of the store, I began running. I hadn't let go of the bags of medicine I had been holding. Haha, phew! Unable to help myself, it was out of breath. I wound up raising my chin up. It was only a few tens of meters to a car, but it felt awfully long. It didn't seem like anyone was chasing me after me, but I didn't even have the luxury of looking back to check. If I were caught, what would have happened to her? Alone in the car, she probably sat there forever, waiting for me to return. As I thought about that for some reason, I ran in earnest? While staggering out of breath and thinking that this was my full strength, in spite of myself, I felt it was sad. Another haha phew. As if collapsing, I fell in the seat and panted heavily as I tore the car into the open road. Clearly, more so than the other day at the pachinko parlor, I became aware of how much my strength had slipped. And then, checking the rear mirror, I looked like I really had been cut by glass. A bit of blood was flowing from my forehead. Probably, if it's just this much, it'll stop soon. While driving, I lightly pressed some pocket tissues on it.
大丈夫。
Yeah, I'm fine.
でも血が出てるし。
Don't worry about it, it's nothing. To the girl directing a worried face towards me, I waved my hand telling her not to worry. And then, with my left hand holding the wheel, I handed her the bundle of medicine. Here, take your medicine. With this, I thought it would be fine for the moment. At least, it would be probably hold out for a week. But when this runs out, what would happen? It was good that today had been a success by chance, but if it was clear that my own strength was declining every day, originally we didn't have a goal or place to go, because we had no desires, we had no fear of losing anything. But now, things are slightly different. With the birth of purpose, the fear of loss also was born. The day cleared up, and that clear, so very high sky that was characteristic of winters spread wide. Once again, we went on the expressway. Right now, we felt the Sweet Junction, and we were running along the Jugoku Express. Hey, what's the next one?
神戸ジャンクションから。
It is from the Kobe Junction. Got it. The Seino Express, right? Feeling the girl's direction, the silver tube ran. Coming all the way here, the signs along the same were occasionally showing me words, Awajishima. Since the day we escaped from the 7th floor, the odometer had already passed 900 kilometers. It seemed unthinkable that we had gone so far, but considering our destination, it was just a short distance. Then, what appeared before us was a large bridge. This was the Akashi Keio Bridge. It was an amazing bridge, isn't it? The two of us couldn't help but be impressed. It was as if it ran atop the sea forever. Then, after we drove for a while, right in the middle of the bridge, here and there, cars were stopped and people could be seen. Most likely these were tourists who got out of their cars to take commemorative photos. Imitating those people, we pulled the cars to stop along the side of the road.
ここ駐停車禁止よ。
Well, if it's just for a bit, it's probably fine. Besides, from what we've seen, a number of other cars had stopped in the same way. Come on now, let's get out for a bit and have a look. I'm sure it's got an amazing view.
分かった。
She sounded a little reluctant still, but the girl got out of the car to join me. A strong, cold wind whistled atop the bridge. This colder than you think, isn't it? Since normally we wouldn't come out of the car, we felt it all the more. It contrasts to us. Farther down, there were two people that seemed to be a couple. It looked like they were taking commemorative photos and raising happy voices that even we could hear. Looking around closer, other than those two, there were families and groups also taking pictures. A commemorative picture, eh? Certainly for a place like this, one was necessary. Speaking of which,
どうかした？
wait a sec. I was certain there had been a camera. Before the first time I had searched through the car, I remembered that I found a cheap disposable camera. At the time, from what little I saw, I thought there were a few shots left. Pulling out the camera, I checked the film. Wonderful. There are still 2 shots left. Sorry for the wait. Look, I'll take one of you. A picture. Picture since we're here after all.
いやよ。
No, don't say that. Strike a pose or something for me. As I spoke, I righted the camera, pointing it at her. Come now, try making a bit of a happier face. However, maybe because she was embarrassed, even when she finally faced this way, she had a skulking expression. Perhaps, for this girl, this was her trying her best to make a smile. As I thought about it, I made ready to shoot the camera when... Excuse me, could you take a picture of us? Sure. Some random couple came up to us with camera in hand. Okay, ready? Yes, please. Happily, the two hugged shoulders and the two then smiled. I placed the two of them in the viewfinder and hit the shutter. Thank you very much. Well, in exchange, we'll take a picture of you two. No, I just pressed here on the camera, right? Fast in reply, he took my camera. Actually, it was more like he snatched it. Probably he was being polite, ignoring our hesitation. He quickly readied the camera. Come on now, you two, get closer together. At those words, I moved my body just a bit closer to the girl. Still looking emotionless, as always, the girl next to me also moved a hint closer. Can you please pose a bit more? Nosily, the boyfriend started adding more requests and looking closer. The guy's girlfriend was also giving an exasperated look. Thinking there was no helping it, from behind her bag to her shoulder, I slowly wrapped my arm around her. It was the first time I touched her body. The feeling of the child's clothes we bought the other day, and the waist-length hair spread through my hands. Looking at the camera, I could see the girl's expression, but maybe she might be wearing that embarrassed, pouting face that would only show very rarely. Well then, ready? Perhaps satisfied that they had taken a decent picture, the couple returned to their car. We also returned towards our own car. A girlfriend, eh? Looks like we've been mistaken. Could it be that we look like it? I said it just in a bit of a joking way. For some reason it felt fun. I just wound up continuing in that light tone. Well, no. Well, what do you think, Satsumi?
何よ。年下のくせに。
Even those words, the same as always, she was facing the window. Her expression was the same. She didn't even look in my direction. But that was, her eyes were the ones that always looked far away. I had a feeling that it was embarrassing. So she has turning her face away. Looking up at the high sun, that characteristically blue sky spread on and on. From then, we went on just for a bit and arrived to Sumoto interchange. Once again, we excited the return to the normal roads. We finally arrived, haven't we? Since that day when we left the 7th floor, the car's trip meter showed some 900 kilometers. From an unplanned start, we really did it we really did make it all the way here. Well, where should we go from here?
何に
South? Got it. Following the girl's direction, I set off. Of course, coming here, even I knew that the place would be. I could see a number of signs for tourists in front of me. However, I followed her navigation. I had a feeling that it would be wrong if I didn't. For some reason, I wanted to do it that way. Oh no, is this the last one? It's the name of the thing, the name of the game.
I think there's one more after this one.
Okay.
Or maybe not, I don't know.
Slowly, the setting sun dyed everything orange. A deserted beach, a strong cold wind swaying a pine grove. Driving the car out onto that beach, I turned the driver's seat over to the girl. Alright, the clutch. Can your feet reach it?
大丈夫
Okay then. Next, shift the gear from the neutral to second.
知ってるわよ
Alright, fine. Then do what you want.
分かった
The girl, with her short build, stretched her foot out as far as she could while gripping the wheel with a serious expression. Leaning out of the passenger seat, I spoke up. That's great. After that, slowly released the clutch. And then, looking obviously nervous, as expected, the grinding noise was phenomenal. Like you need to disengage the clutch more quietly. Her words said so, but of course, it wasn't something one got skillful at right away. The girl tried her best, chewing on her lip a bit in concentration. Exactly because she would normally show no emotion, her figure seemed charming to me. Hey, I'm about to start feeling sick.
分かってるわよ
With the muffler slightly broken, the silver coupe was noisy. On the desert beach, it was as if a howling voice was reverberating. When the sunset had changed into the night sky, and the flattering sea breeze completely changed to being a land breeze, at some point, the face of a large moon hung in the sky. For the most part, it seems you've gotten used to it. Along with that reply, she even shifted into third. Totally used to the clutch now, she was driving around the narrow beach. If that's the case, you could get a license without going to the trainer center, no?
そうなの
Well, I don't have much credibility. It's the words of someone who just got their license after all. By now, there was no meaning for us to get a license. Both of us knew that. We had maps, we had medicine, the muffler was a bit broken and loud, but we even had a silver Cooper. We had no time, had no future. It was exactly because we knew that I felt it was all the more trying. Well then, instead, I'll give you mine. As I spoke, I took out my license from my pocket. This was originally the license that had lost its debut. To me, the proof of the ordinary world that I should have lost already, that have already lost. Here, in the place of your diploma.
もらっても
Even if I take it, it doesn't look
使
like
う
I
時間
have time to use it. Oh, I was reading over her. Well, don't hold back. I'm more or less the same way after all. The 7th floor no one had ever escaped. The high ceiling windows that could open only 15 centimeters, the white vinyl bracelet. For the third time as the last, and the girl on her second, on my first. So here, congratulations on graduating.
ありがとう
Arigato. With a small nod, the girl accepted my license. With that, she was also licensed. Not only coupes, but sedans, even convertibles. She should be able to drive anything that she liked. Surely, she should be able to go to any place that she liked. After that, we drove for a bit more. We arrived at our destination, a place where daffodils could be seen. It was supposed to be a tourist spot, but perhaps this was a bit away from the area, or perhaps it was the night, no one was in sight. Within the perfect darkness of night, we were waiting for the dawn in the dim car interior.
ねえ、明かりつけない。
The battery seems about dead.
そうだね。
Inside the car, even with the engine off, only the dim light from the dashboard faintly illuminated our profiles. In the tight space of the car, we were sound and light faded away. We exchanged very few words as we waited for sunrise. And the lump of laundry that had been tossed in the rear seat, thick jeans and sweatshirts and towels. We took a number of those. We wrapped them around our bodies in place of blankets. Aren't you cold? You come a little closer, you know. Look, don't hold back. Come here. Speaking to the girl shivering from the cold in the passenger seat, I pointed to my lap. I'm sure that'd be warmer here.
別に。私は平気よ。
As the girl spoke, her body was shivering. Even inside the car, our breaths misted, and it was obvious she was putting on a brave face.
それとも、あなたが寒いから来てほしいの。
That's fine too.
じゃあ、わかった。
Then slowly she came over to my side, hesitantly curled in my lap. Well, it's a bit warmer, isn't it? The windshield was fog, totally white from the cold outside. With that white and the dark outside, nothing could be seen outside. But soon, the sun would rise. Surely at that time, a field of white flowers would spread. Then the night quickly faded, and the rising sun was turning the darkness from a faint purple to a pale white. Then, with the dawn, white flowers spread before our eyes. In the place that had been only black up until now, white flowers appeared. The two of us couldn't help but get out in the car and gaze at the scene. Amazing. Spread before us, countless stand of daffodils. The morning dew caught the morning sun, further enhancing the bright whiteness of the prominent flowers. One could believe that it was a carpet that stretched to the seas. And in that we exchanged words, our breaths shining the same white. Since that day, the boring television showed the flowers. We had come to this place. Here that we had no purpose, we managed to come all the way here. These flowers, I think of them as being the same.
厳密に言っても同じ。
I see. That's good. I didn't know the difference between kinds, but that day, the television showed a scene of unbroken, uniform beauty. Compared to that, the flowers before our eyes differed in size as well as how much they bloomed. But without a doubt, they were here.
綺麗。
Indeed. Vague, dull, ordinary, but always cold and merciless to everyone. Reality. In a world filled only with things that couldn't be seen, a world filled with things where even if you stretched out your hand, you couldn't touch. Right now, something that would definitely be touched was before our eyes. Some fragments of those unseen things were scattered about. Rain continued to fall from the solid white January sky. Since then, 2 days have passed, and the whole time we were still in this place. We couldn't go. Hey, are you alright?
多分。
Her health had taken a turn for the worse. With her lying stretched down the passenger seat, we barely moved the car and remained stopped here. She was taking her medicine, perhaps they weren't effective. Her bad state of health remained consistent. However, we were people from the 7th floor. From her original condition, for a girl who was on her second time to wind up like this wasn't too surprising. Say, you want to go back?
あなた帰りたいの？
Just a little bit.
7回それとも家？
That's... I don't know. What I had known was that sooner or later this would happen, and of course, I myself was not too far from it. However, being able to only watch nearby, unable to do anything, was painful. The rain didn't seem like it wanted to stop, and continued falling from the dark night sky. Beyond the windows of the parked car, the shining white daffodils would faintly sway. Say, this is... As I spoke, I pointed out the white flowers beyond the windshield. These were Narcissus, weren't they? The daffodils?
ナルシスがごきげんよ
The word came from Narcissus. Narcissus? That was the word that I remember hearing before. Until now, I thought it had been a familiar word, but... You mean the Narcissus where Narcissus came from?
もともとが神話だからいろんな説があるんだけどね。
And then the girl started to slowly explain as I wore an admiring expression on my face.
誰からも愛されるナルシス。妖精のエコーもそんな彼が好きな一人だったの。でもエコーは相手と同じ言葉しか話せない。
Nothing but the same words.
だからナルシスに先に彼の口から愛してるって言ってもらわないとエコーは自分の気持ちを伝えることができないの。
In a lonely and sad voice, the girl continued to speak. I felt that her gaze, like before, looking at someplace much farther
で
away.
もそんなこと絶対にありえない。どんなに夢見て憧れても決して叶うことのないエコーの願い。最後にはナルシスに呪いをかけてしまうの。
That was the famous falling in love with his own image reflected in the pool.
そして自分の姿を見続けたナルシスはいつしか綺麗な花へと姿を変えてしまうの。それがこの花ナルキッソスの語源よ。
When the story came to an end, she lightly took a breath. I'd been listening and felt so desolate, bro. Echo, who bore a yearning for something that could never be reached. It felt as if it were just like us now. And then what happened to Echo?
いないわ。呪いをかけるときに消えちゃったから。
It disappeared. Wasn't there no meaning behind it? To go as far as to place a curse, but to get nothing from it. In the end, it just made Narcissus unhappy. Also,
どうかした？
no, but you're different, aren't you? Well, before, didn't you ask me whether I cursed my fate, which I couldn't do anything about?
私は諦めているから。時間の止まった私。
Numerous seasons, white overcast skies passed without even the need to exchange words with anyone.
いつから私は一人なのだろうか。目を閉じても世界は消えない。
Even if I stopped my ears, the sound of the rain wouldn't stop. I knew that. Neither the bikini swimsuit, the emerald sea, nor the happily smiling photo. I didn't really think I was envious. In the world of my closed eyes, even without maps or a car, I could go anywhere. Even if I wasn't being warned by the large scar on my chest, even in this reality where Narcissu and I were Echo.
決して憧れない。
Even when I was supposed to have decided that, my heart right now swayed. The time that was supposed to have stopped tried to move. Even though if it did so now, very soon it would end.
傷は深ければ深いほどそれに比例して治るのも時間がかかるだし、それならば長い時間をかけてゆっくり離れてしまうともう取り返しがつかないのだろうか。じゃあ22年も生きた私は
Hey, are you alright? Before dawn, stretching my hand out to the passenger seat, I stroked her back. Since then, another 2 days had passed, and the medicine had been losing effectiveness, had ran out. But I was better than doing nothing. Thinking that, I reached for the car keys, planning on going to a pharmacy. Then, as I was about to switch on the ignition, I was stopped by a weak voice. But at this rate, you were...
どうせもう聞かない。
That may be so, but certainly it was just like the girl said. Most likely, with the same medicine, there wouldn't be any effect. But even knowing that, it was painful for me to sit still, unable to do anything. Then, well, let's go somewhere.
別の場所
Somewhere else. Yeah, somewhere other than this lonely place. Okay, let's decide on our next destination. Come on, anything will do. Be the navigator again. I was speaking in a bright tone of a voice that even I thought was laughable. Facing that profile looking far away, I continued to speak cheerfully, alone. I knew that doing this was useless. At most, how 2 days before the end would turn to 3, even I knew it was on that level. Come on now. Come on, say something. That's someplace. There's someplace, isn't there?
別に
I know. Don't you like cars? You want to go on the expressway again.
別に
Then, well, let's go buy some new clothes. You want them, don't you?
別に
Not particularly. With those final words, once again, the girl looked out the window, not looking at the Narcissus that spread before her, but before looking off somewhere far away. That pouting, expressed face that she would sometimes show. She wouldn't show it to me anymore. Why are you like that? Always, but just not particularly. Just because being a little bit forward-facing, what's wrong with that? Before I knew it, I raised my voice. For some reason, I was sad. Even though I was supposed to be unable to have any real sense of reality, my heart ached. The interior of the car returned to silence. Outside of the window were the flowers of January, daffodils, narcissus. In the dark before dawn, their witness gently swayed. Farther than the flowers, much farther, the girl continued gazing. Only the faint sound of the waves held sway in this place.
前向きになってなれるわけないじゃないの。
Inside the dark car, suddenly, she spoke up.
憧れて懸命になって頑張ってでも
But And when it doesn't come true, what should I do?
その時に無理だったねって笑って言えるほど強くないわよ。
The girl who had eyes that always looked far away was looking straight at me from the passenger seat.
私にできることは最初から諦めて何も望まずにいてやっぱり無理だったと冷めた目で自分を見ることしかできないのよ。
You're the first time the girl cried. Even though she almost never showed any emotion, her small shoulders shook and tears flowed.
あの時頑張っていたらもしかしたらって自分にとっての最後の言い訳を取っておくしかないのよ。最初から無理だと分かっているんだからそれぐらいいいじゃないの。
Looked at the dark sky beyond the windshield. The sky before the dawn even showed the face of the moon. I could only hear the occasional sounds of waves, the girl's sobbing voice. The girl might feel that she was the same as Echo, unable to return to anything but the same words. From herself, she could say nothing, hope for nothing, see nothing, could do nothing but give up. So for this girl, refusing both the 7th floor and home was perhaps her first and last act of defiance. Bro! The towel. The towel.
Bros, we in the end game.
We in the end game. What's the towel got to do with it?
I don't know.
You don't know. I got a mini muffin I should finish. The clear sea of January, cold wind that pierced the skin. Occasionally a strong gust that would sway the pine grove, and the sound of waves calmly reverberated. Well, there's nothing other than this. I handed over the towel with Shirwashi construction printed on it. It was that we had used to wipe our bodies down before. Don't make such a strange face.
分かった。
Seeming slightly unsatisfied, the girl took the towel. Suddenly saying she wanted a swimsuit. What could I do? In this season, at this place, on top of that, she wanted a bikini. Doing what I could, what came out of the car when I searched was the white towel that had been laid in the pile of laundry. And then, waiting for a while, in the skirt she liked, the towel from just before wrapped around her chest, the girl appeared.
どう？
Well, even if you ask me that,
変じゃない。
well, probably. It's perfectly fine. Totally not strange at all.
分かった。
Then the girl slowly began walking out to the water's edge. Waves gathered and retreated. The long hair fluttered in the cold ocean sea. From the sky, as if delivering the finishing blow, snow lightly fell. Within all that, the girl had held both her shoes in both hands, happily, as if she were splashing around, walking barefoot at the edge of the water.
ねえ、それっぽく。
Maybe so-so. In the cold of midwinter, our breaths whitely misted. And then I took out the camera that I had before from the car earlier. That cheap-looking disposable camera that had only one more shot in it. Here, I'll take a picture of you. I'm sure it'd be more like that way. Oh, what? I'm sure it'd be more like that way. As I spoke, I made a show of preparing the camera. Come now, don't be reserved, okay? The water's edge, the girl seen through the wayfinder. Maybe she was a bit nervous, or perhaps embarrassed. Her face was more complicated than usual. So could you give me a better pose?
でも
No buts. Look, there's no magazine model that would stand that's like a steak.
分かった
Even while seeming a bit embarrassed, on her own way, she tried her best. Shyly putting her hands on her waist, she threw her free hand out wide. The hand is stretched out towards the clear winter sky, as if it were about to grab something. We're trying to grab something. Stretched straight towards the sky with the emerald green sea to her back. Oh, then, one last thing. Smile. Smile for me. Satsumi.
何よ
What's with that?
年下のくせに
You're the younger one. Saying that, for the first time, she smiled for me. The girl wearing the skirt she liked, with a white bikini, smiled with a flash shot of an disposable camera, smiled with the emerald green sea to her back. It was as if a magazine model were smiling at me. Great. The next, how about a pose with a little bit more movement? Happily, like we were having fun, she splashed through the water. The film had already been used up in the camera, but I still continued to take shots. Oh, you're getting caught up in this, aren't you?
そんなことないわよ
Cheerfully, we talked, as if making another attack, the snow fell even harder. And in that, through the viewfinder of the camera that had already ran out of film, the girl showed a happy face. Even as if her small body was thrown about by the wind, she directed her newly recalled smile towards me. It's already that time. With that answer like before, the girl started walking toward the sea.
そういえば免許証
That's fine. Take it as a memento.
分かった
While nodding, she put it in her pocket. It was the license that I had once handed to her. Really, it was something that should have already lost its debut. Then the girl took off that white vinyl bracelet wrapped around her wrist and offered it to me. Are you giving this to me?
あげる
I see. Then I'll take it as a memento of myself. In the same way, I accepted the bracelet and placed it in my pocket. Then, once again, the girl began walking towards the sea. Facing her back, I threw out my final words. Can I ask you just one last question? Do you, right now, want me to pull you back? Or instead, you want me to give your back a push? While the waves splashed at her feet, the girl stopped in place. Her back remained facing me after I asked the question. The strong wind turned the crest of the waves into spray that struck her. Before long, she turned around and...
さあどっちだろうねよくわからないね
Saying that just one more time, she smiled for me. While being struck by the spray from the waves, even as tears welled up she faced me with a smile. Before, those feet had stopped at the water's edge, but this time, they didn't stop. That was why I thought that was her answer.
それじゃあさよなら
And so our journey of 960 kilometers ended. To me, it was 15 days' time. To her, it was the end of a 22-year journey. Not the 7th floor, no home of her own she avoided them. In the year 2005, she was one of the estimated 35,000 people who committed suicide. Blood type O, name Satsuma, 22 years old, female, final identification bracelet, white. It was everything about the girl that I knew. In reality, she liked bikini swimsuits, knew more about the roads, the navigation system, and loved cars. She even had a license. She was always without expression and would rarely face you. But once in a while, she would even make this embarrassed pouting face. The emerald sea to her back, as if dancing happily like a magazine model, she smiled. And yet, on the cheap disposable camera, only a single picture remained of her smile. But even so, even with just one picture, it was the proof of ourselves that we left behind. I'm not crying, you're crying!
Oh, bro, I am crying.
I'm crying, you crying. That was so good.
Bro, that was incredible, bro. Second time seeing the story. Still incredible.
眩しかった日のこと、そんな冬の日のこと。
Wow. That was something. That was really good.
So good, bro. So good.
Oh, I struggled so hard reading that last couple sentences. Oh my god. That got me teared up so much.
Well, chat, that was the game.
That was it. I'll be playing other games sooner or later because I need to learn how to make good stories like that. And so what I've been doing is I went on Itch because I thought Itch had good storytelling games, but apparently not. You search up visual novel and they're all gay romances. Not saying that that's like bad, I'm just saying that like it could be something so much better. Like it's not a whole lot of good game or like novels here. I don't know. We'll see. I saw one that was like Sanji and Zoro dating sim, so I might do that one. But yeah, I'm gonna end the stream and go to bed. Good night, all. Good night.
Good night, chat.
Good night, chat.
This was all recorded live on my Twitch.com.